Well, hello, everybody. We're here with us today, Steve Hensley, who's the Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management for Kenton County. It's a critical public service organization and really kind of behind the scenes with a lot of the things that Steve and his team do. But emergency management has been around a long time, and it's actually mandated by the state, right, Steve?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So fill us in, really what goes on behind the scenes of emergency management.
The Emergency Management Homeland Security Office is basically a support agency, and what we do is we provide essential emergency response service to your normal day-to-day first responders. So basically we respond in support of your fire departments, your police departments, and those type things for various rescues and other type scenarios.
So you get the phone call really when any of these entities goes on a abnormal typical call during the day, correct? So, but highway wrecks, chemical spills, of course, tragedies where we might have tornadoes, that kind of thing.
Yes, sir. We respond to all natural and man-made disasters. In addition to that, we respond to any hazardous materials that would be released either from a vehicle or from one of our EHS facilities located within Kenton County. In addition to making those responses, we're also charged with doing annual inspections of those facilities to make sure they're in compliance with all the laws associated with hazardous materials storage and transport.
And really when it comes down to it, I think about this pandemic that we're still in the middle of and hopefully coming out of. You're one of the key agencies that partner with the hospital, the health department, and all of our first responders to get information flowing and really keep people safe.
Yes, sir, that is correct. As a result of our relationship with the State Emergency Management Association and your relationship with the local health department partners in St. Elizabeth, we were able to coordinate a really efficient team. We were one of the first to offer a drive-through testing opportunity at Summit View out in Independence, and not only for the residents of Kenton County, but for the residents of our region. And then after we operated that for a period of time, then we opened up another operation on Atlantic Drive in partnership with Boone County that also helped facilitate the delivery of COVID testing. And then after we started going through the testing process, then it became very obvious that the vaccines were becoming available. We were one of the first in the Commonwealth to offer the vaccines to be pushed out. Lakeside Christian Church became a partner of ours, and we were able to deliver thousands of doses of vaccine there. And then it became very obvious that the demand was greater than we had room to accommodate at that location. So working in partnership with Gretchen down at the Northern Kentucky Convention Center, we were able to open up a mass clinic where we delivered approximately 40,000 vaccines to people, not only of Kenton County, but to the region of Northern Kentucky in its entirety.
And all the amazing hard work and partners, and of course the state really did a great job to try and make sure that this was available, testing and vaccinations for residents here in Northern Kentucky. But going back, I guess, to the traditional type of calls you'll get, and I remembered one not too many years ago where a car had gone into the Ohio River. I know it's typically, of course, a huge tragedy. 911 gets a phone call, and then you get the phone calls at the same time that the fire departments and EMS get phone calls. What happens in those situations in terms of coordinating that response?
Well, again, we have a pre-established relationship with all the police departments, fire departments, all the water rescue assets that make the responses and those type things. So we would coordinate in a unified command scenario, and basically we would then discuss the facts as we know them. During that process, as we're doing that and we're planning the components of the response from our perspective, we've already notified our partners at the Boone County Water Rescue that are deploying, and they would be en route to help us with the recovery of the vehicle and or the occupants of that vehicle. Same thing would be said with jumpers. Occasionally we have jumpers and those type things. And another very interesting event that paralyzed Northern Kentucky for a period of time was the hazardous materials event where the two semis collided, caught fire, and which resulted in the long-term closure of the Brent Spence Bridge.
Yep.
During that response, not only did we have hazardous materials issues that we had to deal with on the bridge, but we also had hazardous materials released that were into the waterways. And because of the condition of the structure of the bridge being unknown at the time, not only did we have to shut down the I-75 corridor, but we had to shut down the waterway as well. So the Coast Guard was involved in that. There were about 200 first responders that were involved in that initially. And what we basically do is we coordinate that event and we bring all the parties together in a unified situation so that we can make unified command decisions. That way, water rescue knows what the police are doing. Police know what the fire are doing. We had the Secretary of Transportation of the Commonwealth, Jim Gray. He was here doing daily releases to the general public and those type things. So with the addition of our new county administration building here in our emergency operations center that we operated out of for the extent of the duration, in fact, the state transportation cabinet set up a satellite office and operated almost daily from our location here at 1840 Simon Kenton Way.
That example, I don't think how many people realize this team of really you and one other full-time member and 2 part-timers, small but mighty group that goes to help facilitate this work, and obviously just really an additional foundation above and beyond the fire departments, the EMS efforts, the police departments and public works and everybody together, that you guys can continue to help. Really, when the need is there, you step up and are ready to take care of things.
Well, absolutely. We respond to such a wide variety of things. In fact, by statute, each county is required to have an emergency management director. You know, it's kind of unique. We're appointed by the judge, we're vetted by the county, we're vetted by the state, and then we're partially funded by the federal government. So it's a very, very complicated matrix in which, we have to be in compliance with all the statutes associated with emergency management, which means we have to submit and update all the emergency operations plans, and we have to do all these things in order to maintain compliance both state and federally. And the unique takeaway from this is, and this is one of the reasons why it's more efficient in county governments to provide this service to the county in its entirety, is because we support the mayors, we support the police chiefs, fire chiefs, and all the jurisdictions, because absent the county accepting that role for each of the cities within our jurisdictional boundaries, then they would have to do it themselves. And it really makes no sense to duplicate all that effort when we're all responding together and we're working on these events collectively and cooperatively.
Well, you've said it well, Steve, and thank you really for your decades of public services. I think you're in police department, police chief, city manager, and then now been in emergency management for many years.
You've pretty well given my resume, but an important takeaway, I have Todd Shokers working here as my deputy full-time director, 35 plus years, retired from Erlanger Fire Department as assistant chief. We have David Jansing that wears multiple hats, more than 50 years of fire service. He's an elected official in Lakeside Park. And again, that's just a few of his titles. Then we have Ron Becker that also retired from the Fort Wright Fire Department with 30 plus years experience. So our combined experience is very close to 200 years with different backgrounds. And that's why we complement each other. And I think that's what makes it work. So we appreciate the support we get continuously from the fiscal court.
You bet. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you.